Now I'll be talking about Azure Security and Defender for Cloud. So cloud security or Azure Security and Defender for Cloud. So what that thing really talks about is that how is your resources in Azure being protected, quote and unquote. How is your security in Azure being protected? So when it comes to uh, enterprise enterprise resource management and enterprise let's say infrastructure management, one of the major things I want you to look at is the security of your resources. You understand? You can do a lot of right architecturing. The application can be running fine. Everything can be so good and smart and everything. If your application is not secured, one hacker can spoil all those processes. Do you get that concept? Just one single hacker that has the weak point of your security or the blueprints of your security and has access to your resources can spoil everything. He can go and delete your database at any time. I remember, okay, let me just give you a story I had. I don't know how true it is, but it's just what I had about a particular fintech that they were running, they were working as we expect them to work. And an hacker got into it. He got into the resources that they have in cloud. The hacker had been in their system for a while, so the hacker knows everything that they do in the organization. And long and short of the story, at one particular day, the hacker sent him an email to the organization that the organization should pay him a particular amount of money so he can be able to drop their resources and leave it for them. So long and short of the story, the organization rejected. They said they cannot pay, blah blah blah. The long story and short of it, the hacker said he's going to give you an example of it, that he's going to delete one of their resources. And the hacker actually did that threat. And the hacker actually deleted their resources in the cloud. I mean, their databases, their virtual machines, their Postgres, everything that they have in the cloud. The hacker actually deleted it and sent the company back to zero. Now, looking at that, what did they do wrong? They actually created the resources how they ought to create it. They did the management how they ought to do it. But you know, security some security keys or credentials and all those little things being exposed can make your organization or your enterprise be vulnerable to hackers. So that's why we have something in Azure called cloud security. You understand? Cloud security. Now, for here, I may not be able to run you through what you have, but I want to just show you Microsoft Defender for cloud. Can you see it? Microsoft Defender for cloud. So Microsoft Defender for cloud, how it really works is that it scans your cloud resources in your subscription. You understand? It tells you how many, the recommendation is wants to give you. Maybe there's something that you need to patch. Maybe there's a particular port you need to disable. The attack. Can you see the metrics it's giving out? You understand? It's going to show you how exposed is your cloud infrastructure. You understand? So one of the things you don't joke with in the cloud is this Microsoft Defender for cloud. So you don't want to come in one day and you see that all your resources are gone, or your whole subscription is being hacked. Microsoft will not be liable for it. That's one thing I want to say. The cloud provider are not liable for the resources you have in the cloud. It's your duty and it's for you to do your due diligence to protect your resources that you have in the cloud. What the cloud provider is to do for you is to ensure that you can be able to create your resources and your resources are running and working effectively. That's what the cloud provider does for you. But you, on the other end, are to create the security architecture of your resources in the cloud. So that is what Microsoft Defender does for you. It tells you which particular port can be exposed, meaning that, for instance, you have port 22 for SSH for Linux servers, you have port 3389 for your virtual machine, for Windows virtual machine, that's multi desktop. The weak authentications where you're having a misconfigured resource, maybe you have your keys lying around. Instead of you to use keyboards, you are storing your keys in Notepad. I don't think it's ideal. You understand? Those are the things that Microsoft Security shows you. And also it calls you that, okay, looking at it, how many critical infrastructure are you having? Like, for instance, you're having a database and your database is public. Anybody from anywhere can log into your database at any time. No, it's not expected to be that way. If the configuration of your resources in the cloud is left to you, the security of your resources in the cloud is left to you. So those are the things that I want us to look at in this session. The things I want us to look at firstly here, we want to talk about what Azure secures and what you secure. So Azure secures the physical server, meaning that in the data center, Microsoft secures the data center. You understand? It secures and ensures that there's power, the data center is working, and everything in there is working as planned in the SLA. But the security of who can access your resource is not left to Microsoft. It's left to you. Do you get it? You that you have the resource, the organization that has the resource will determine who can access their resource. Once they create, for example, when you create a virtual machine, you create a username and password. Microsoft doesn't know the username and password. You alone know the username and password. Who you give the username and password to is that same person that can be able to access your virtual machine. Please, do you understand that concept? So that is what the shared responsibility model, meaning that what Microsoft Azure can secure for you and what you yourself need to secure. Next thing we want to talk about is common risks. So common risks I want us to look at, number one is open ports, which I talked about. For instance, the port of your virtual machine, if it's a Linux virtual machine, port 22 for SSH, and you have port 2389 for your RDP. For instance, if your port is publicly available and anybody can connect to your virtual machine from anywhere, definitely an hacker can just log into your virtual machine and go through, knowing when the hacker knows that you have a weak authentication. For instance, you put your username as definitely username is your username, and you put the password as 12345 password. It's a very weak password. You understand? So those are the common risks. The next thing again is misconfiguration. When you need to configure things correctly, ensure that nobody can can communicate with your resources from some particular regions, but you left it open. So that is misconfiguration. For instance, when we were creating virtual machine, you know that I showed us where you have connection for private IP and public IP. If you leave your virtual machine to public IP, means that anybody can access it publicly. But if it's private IP, means that anybody that can access that anybody that wants to access your resources in Azure must be on Microsoft network before you can access your resources. So I think private IP is actually secured than public IP. So do you understand the concept? So those are configuration issues that I want you to look at also. Next thing, I want to talk about Microsoft Defender for Cloud. What it really does, it gives you a very good security posture management. You can see here, it shows you your security posture. how many critical recommendations do you have you need to work on, your attack paths, and your overdue recommendations. It lists it out for you. What are the critical recommendations that is on place? The high risk recommendation, medium risk recommendation, and low risk recommendation. These are some of the things I want us to look at also. Another thing again I want to look at again is that this your security score. It's going to show you your security score, telling you that okay, your resource is 100% secured, or 10% secured, or it's not secured at all. Microsoft gives you that recommendation for your Microsoft Defender for cloud. Another thing again I can talk about is you have what is called security alerts. Security alerts talks about maybe if anything goes wrong, it sends you an alert that this particular virtual machine is already acting up. Somebody is accessing the virtual machine by 1 a.m. in the night. It's begin to send you an alert, send you a notification. Those are what we call security alerts. Another thing again you want to look at is that you can get Cloud Security Explorer, get your inventory, everything that does have to do with security of your cloud resources. Everything that have to do with security of your cloud resources, you can get it on Microsoft Defender for cloud. So another thing, some things I just want to talk about again is things I have said initially, but I just want to just hit nail on the head again. So remember when we were talking about Azure subscriptions, I talked about something called MFA, multi-factor authentication, meaning that people should not be able to log in to your cloud service just using username and password. Put in authentication. Let them use Microsoft Authenticator app before they can be able to log in. You understand? How secured is your cloud resource or your cloud subscription? It's important. For instance, I gave in the last class we talked about data protection. For instance, when you have a very highly sensitive data, you can't just allow somebody to just log in with username and password to access your resources just like that. Do you understand? So you need to first look at it and say, oh, no. Come to look at it. Are these guys who is logging in? Why is this person logging in by this time of the day? What is going on? Those are things that Microsoft Defender for Cloud gives you access to. Another thing I want to talk about is disk encryption. Disk encryption means that your virtual machine disks or your database server disks shouldn't be exposed just like that, meaning that anybody can just plug that virtual machine disk to another virtual machine and begin to access the files. No, there's a method of encryption. So you have two kinds of encryption. You have the Microsoft encryption that Microsoft gives to all the virtual machines or any storage disks. And we have customer managed keys. Means that you are creating your own encryption method for your disks, your virtual machine, and so on and so forth. And the encryption key is stored in a key vault. So you can look at that also. And the next thing you want to look at is this thing I mentioned again, is this priority ratios, where you have let it load. So you can look at it where you have the critical, high, medium, and low. That is the category of looking at your the security risks of your resources in Azure Cloud. Is the security risk actually critical, or the security risk is really high that you need to really do something to it, or it is medium that you may come to look at it later, but it's not of high importance, or it is low, you may not really do anything to it. You understand? So those necessary security risk measures should be in place for your cloud resources and the protection of your cloud data also. So I think that's the main thing about um, uh, Microsoft Cloud security and so on and so forth. Anybody with any question? Anybody
Okay,
with
no
any
question from
question?
me. No question from me.
Olasunbo, any question as regards to cloud security?
No, I have to read.
Okay.